Let's go.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to a few of you. Welcome to the community briefing. Today is Veterans Day, 2021, November 11th, and 2021, and we're glad you joined us today. Our guest speaker is Lance Triggs from Operation Hope, and he'll be joining us momentarily to share about all the programs that Operation Hope is bringing to our community. First, a little bit about myself. My name is Gregory Sneed. I have a company, Lifesaver Financial Services, where I help my clients keep more of the money they make. And I help people to feel better about their money, because I believe that when you feel better about your money, you feel better about your life. I have some information in the chat. And if you'd like to feel better about your money, get on a first name basis or be pals with your money, I'd be happy to help you. And now, it's my pleasure to welcome the queen of our community briefing, Miss Crystal Mitchell.
Hello, everyone. My computer is deciding to do crazy today, but welcome. Glad to have you guys to the community briefing. Welcome. We're excited about our guest today. He left us and went to Georgia, but he's visiting. Yeah, he's visiting back with us. So glad to have you. I am Crystal Mitchell, the founder and creator of the community briefing. This platform is sponsored and powered by Recycling Black Dollars and the BBA, Black Business Association. We are here to bring you access to our leaders and stakeholders that are creating amazing opportunities and doing amazing things in our community. This is a network platform, so make sure you put your information in the chat room and network with each other, and don't just do it for this show. Make sure you reach out to them after the show. So thank you guys for being here, and I am going to turn it back over to Greg. And Stephen, you gonna do your usual? All righty.
So thanks you, Crystal. And again, you're tuned into the community briefing. Our guest today is Lance Triggs from Operation Hope. A couple of housekeeping items. Obviously, you should be used to Zoom protocol by now, but we appreciate you keeping on mute. And if you are going to be on mic, great to silence or vibrate your cell phone. We will be taking questions to Mr. Triggs. If you would be so kind to put them in the chat box, and we'll get to them after his presentation. Now, without further delay, let me introduce Mr. Lance Triggs. I didn't see a middle initial, so I'm sure he'll let us know about that. But Lance Triggs, he just joined Operation Hope recently. No, I'm kidding.
It feels like it.
Lance has been with Operation Hope, and he's going to tell us all about what Operation Hope is for, I guess, now 27, pushing up on 28 years. And he was there at the very beginning. We were chatting right before the program, where I remember it was just John, Rachel, and Lance. It was just the three of them getting started. And so you guys have come a mighty long way, and from three people in one office, and you'll share with us how many offices and how many people are being are servicing and helping the community. So Operation Help is designed to help the communities, families, and individuals to deal with business, to deal with community, to deal with their money, opportunities. And it was birthed, quite frankly, right after the insurrection with Rodney King after 1992 here in Los Angeles. So Lance Triggs is a native of California and Los Angeles. The Hope website says Hollywood, but my research tells me a little bit about Carson. And huh?
That's right.
Yeah, there you go. All right.
Carson. Absolutely.
Yeah. He went to Cal State Fullerton and got a degree in business administration, management, and operations. He also has education with Academy Pacific Travel Management School and Boston College Carroll School of Management with a certificate in nonprofit leadership. As I mentioned, he's been with Operation Hope since 1994. A number of functions. Back then you're sort of co-CEO, which is Chief Everything Officer. And then as you start building people up, so now he is currently president of the Office of Program Operations for Operation Hope. And he's going to share with us all the initiatives and things that they are doing. Let's say I mentioned he was a native of California. I understand your dad was with LAPD.
Yeah.
And your mom looks like she was chief domestic engineer, something like that, right?
Actually, she was a registered nurse for 45 years, worked at King Hospital over in Watts.
Wow. Okay.
Helped open Watts.
Okay.
King Hospital over there.
I read that because I think she was running the household, right? Yeah.
Mom was a bad sister too.
Yes. So without further delay, my pleasure to bring to our Zoom community briefing, Lance Triggs from Operation Hope. All yours, Lance.
Thank you, Brother Greg. A couple of quick notes on the Hollywood story. Actually, I was born on Kaiser Hospital on Sunset Boulevard. So that's where that Hollywood story comes from. Spent the first few years in South Central. For those of you familiar with Adams and Western, actually lived in a one-room apartment across from First AME Church in my early years before we moved to Carson. So a lot of different roots happening there. Miss my LA family. It's like, as the OJ said, family reunion. Seeing Crystal and Kevin and Greg and Stephen. We all go way back, and miss all of you and love all of you. Before I jump into my remarks, again, I want to acknowledge Recycling Black Dollars under Crystal's leadership. She's taking the helm after the great Muhammad Nasruddin, who will always be my brother. Was a mentor to me when I got into this game of financial empowerment. And so he's always sorely missed, but Crystal has done a super fantastic job keeping the mission and vision alive and doing well. So commend you, my sister. And I want to just acknowledge the BBA, Black Business Association. And I know Skip Cooper's not on, but Skip and I, he's family. I mean, he and my brother worked at Proline Hair Products many years ago. And I met Skip when I was a teenager working in the shipping department in Carson with Comer Cottrell. And then fast forward to being part of Operation Hope, Skip has been a great friend and mentor and continues to do so. So it's great to be here with everybody. I look forward to connecting with everybody real soon. We know that over the last year, especially dealing with the pandemic, has had a huge impact on the lives of everybody, especially those of us in the Black community. We know that the social justice issues of today surround the unfortunate situation around George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, just to name a few. But as Greg and Crystal mentioned earlier, Operation Hope was founded 30 years ago, going on 30 years, May 5th, 1992 is when we launched Operation Hope. So we're approaching our 30th anniversary. But it was with the social justice and economic justice issues of our time, as mentioned, Latasha Harlins, for those of you who don't remember what happened to her, and then Rodney King. And it was because of the riots and the insurrection of 1992, Operation Hope was born. Our first office was in Leimert Park. Fond memories of Leimert Park as our flagship office. I still think of Fifth Street Dix and Richard having his spot there, and a lot of great memories. And so Operation Hope was born because of the fact that out of 30,000 buildings, out of 3,000 buildings and structures that were either burned, vandalized, or destroyed, not one was a home. And that data point really taught John Bryan and I to realize that our people will not burn with what we own. And so it's really about creating a program that can provide financial education, financial counseling, access to capital to create ownership in our community, create small business ownership in our community, home ownership in our community. And so Operation Hope was born from that foundation. We started in Los Angeles in 1992 with a number of programs. We're still heavily involved in the LA community. I believe we had 10 locations throughout Los Angeles, ranging from Compton, South Los Angeles, the Valley, so on and so forth. So we still have a big presence in the Los Angeles area, providing financial education and empowerment and helping create businesses and homeowners in our community. But since then, a lot has changed. Yes, our headquarters is in Atlanta. Our global spokesperson is Ambassador Andrew Young, who was pivotal in terms of us relocating to Atlanta. And so since then, we currently have 187 offices, Hope Inside offices throughout the United States, serving over 850,000 locations in 41 states, including Puerto Rico and DC. And so our Hope Inside model is inside schools, inside banks, inside faith-based organizations, community centers, as well as the private sector corporations, where we're providing financial empowerment and coaching to employees of corporations like Delta, UPS, the city of Memphis, city of Birmingham, Atlanta Police Department, and the list goes on. So a lot of growth since 1992. I'm glad to still be around to be a part of it. Back in 1994, I was the only employee in the field with Operation Hope, so had to wear many hats, doing the coaching, the education, the executive director stuff. And so to see it grow to that extreme has been great. Since 1992, we've served over 4.5 million youth, adults, businesses. We've also invested over $2 billion in capital investments in underserved communities, creating homeowners, creating small businesses as well. So very proud of the impact that we're having. We still have a lot of work to do. And when you look at the current state of financial well-being in our country, it's still a challenge. 78% of people in our country are under financial stress. 70% of people in our country are living paycheck to paycheck. 6 out of 10 people in our country do not have $500 in their savings account for any emergency. Transmission go out in your car, flat tire on your way to work, or if you got to go visit the emergency room for a medical issue, people do not have money in the bank to even deal with those unforeseen occurrences. And then we see that the disparity amongst races when it comes to net worth continues to be a widened gap there. And then when you look at some of the main reasons for things like divorces, money is still behind it. The main reason for domestic violence has something to do with money, because the person who's being abused doesn't have the financial means to leave the abuser. And then artificial intelligence, whether we like it or not, it is upon us. And by the year 2030, 30% of the American workforce will go by the wayside to AI. And so as a people, as Black people, and as a community, we need to really not fear these statistics, but understand that there's a sense of urgency behind them. When you look at the net worth between Black Americans and whites, the average net worth for Blacks is $146,000 and change, compared to whites, which is $983,000. When you look at the median net worth, that's when you take the highest and the lowest and average. The median net worth for Blacks is $24,100, compared to whites, which is $189,000. So the wealth gap continues to be an issue for us as a people. And so one of the things that Operation Hope has been doing is to change that gap, narrowing that gap. Now, despite some of these sobering statistics, I still believe we're sitting in a moment of history, and that there's rainbows after storms. And Dr. King said many years ago that we are confronted with the fierce urgency of now. That was over 50 years ago. So I think we're beyond the urgency part. And it's really going to require all of us coming together as organizations, as a people, to change the trajectory of what we're experiencing. You know, today we kind of look at the situation as like a third Reconstruction. For those of you are history buffs, the first Reconstruction was around 1864, 1865, when Abraham Lincoln so-called freed the slaves. At that point, African Americans were supposed to get our 40 acres and a mule. And with that, there was the establishment of a little known bank back then called the Freedmen's Bank. And the Freedmen's Bank, which was ran by Frederick Douglass, was designed to help freed slaves take their money, deposit their money, manage their money, to help them gain access to capital to start businesses and buy real estate. Unfortunately, Lincoln was assassinated, and then his predecessor stepped in and cut all those initiatives to where it still has an impact on what we're dealing with today. Fast forward 100 years from there, 1965, Dr. King was leading the civil rights movement, which was providing access to accommodations, voting rights, but wasn't focusing on financial empowerment. Unfortunately, before he was assassinated, he was launching something called the Poor People's Campaign in Washington, D.C., to focus on financial and economic empowerment. And so, in my opinion, over the last 30 years, because of the Rodney King insurrection, as Greg mentioned, organizations like Operation Hope, Recycling Black Dollars, the BBA, and many others around this country are creating this focus on financial well-being and financial empowerment, whether it's from a consumer, being conscious where you spend your money, versus, or from creating wealth through ownership, entrepreneurship, real estate ownership. So the goal, as I see it today, because we are living in an urgent moment, is financial education, because what we don't know that we don't know is killing us, is causing us to make wrong financial decisions, making sure that we're building up strong individual, family, and community credit scores, which is extremely important, because even now, 40% of corporations will run your credit report to see if you're worthy of employment. And so unfortunately, many of our people are left behind in terms of gainful employment because of poor credit scores. And at Operation Hope, we say there's nothing greater than God, love, and family than having a 700 credit score. Can I get an amen? So we're all about creating strong credit scores, because with credit scores, you can access capital, access credit, access other people's money to buy real estate, get income properly, start a business, so on and so forth. And then the third piece is home ownership creation. African-American home ownership in the United States is around 45%. And so compared to 73, 74% of our white counterparts. So when you look at creating wealth today in generational wealth, real estate is the best path, and entrepreneurship is the best path as well. So the solutions, again, is in terms of tied to the initiatives that Operation Hope has been focusing on, the 700 credit score community piece, which is going extremely well by helping people achieve a 700 credit score. You know, again, they're able to leverage that to start businesses, purchase real estate, and live their aspirations, pay for a college education. And then we have another initiative that we launched last May called Financial Literacy for All, where we're focusing on making it mandatory that financial education is offered in schools K through 12, colleges and universities. We know that what happens when you go to college, you get that first credit card. We're finding college students mishandling their credit and getting bad credit from the beginning, which can have a 20-year detriment to their financial well-being. So K through 12, colleges and universities, the workplace, as I mentioned, some of our partners there, in the general public. And so we feel that providing this information and this education can put people in a better position to make better decisions. And we have some great corporations behind this initiative, ranging from Walmart, Disney, the NFL, the NBA, Delta Airlines, the Khan Academy, and many others. helping us with that initiative. And then the last initiative that just surpassed its 1-year anniversary, and that's the 1 Million Black Business Initiative, which is a 10-year initiative. And one of our big partners is Shopify. Shopify is an e-commerce corporation based out of Canada who have committed over $130 million towards this 10-year initiative. And it's through the 1 Million Black Business Initiative is to really provide some support for existing Black businesses and help others businesses get started. We realize that out of 2.5, I believe, million Black-owned businesses in the United States, 95% of them are sole proprietorship. Many only one employee themselves. And so we want to change that. We want to help existing businesses grow in stature, take their ideas and products to market, make sure they have the infrastructure to help them grow and expand and create jobs, and be able to put capital back into their hands so that they can use it to help grow their business. And then introduce this e-commerce world to Black-owned businesses, which is not many of us are taking advantage of it. So through the 1MBB program, we're providing these services at no cost to Black-owned businesses as a way to strengthen their infrastructure. And then we're partnering with other public, private, and community organizations who are doing great work in this space already. I was just talking to Crystal and she was bringing me up to speed about the great work that Recycling Black Dollars is doing under her leadership and what she's doing personally, and also working with Vermont Slauson, who are been doing great work for many years, and many others. And so we have a lot of organizations as well as municipalities under this umbrella, the SBA as well, many corporations who are committed to supporting Black-owned businesses in their own right, whether it's education, whether it's mentorship, whether it's access to capital. And it's through this 1 Million Black Business Initiative, collectively, we're able to move this needle. And so very excited about the initiatives that Operation Hope is doing in just playing our role amongst many others around the country, and will continue to do so. Now, while we know that challenges persist with what's happening in this country, unfortunately, racism is alive and well still, but we cannot afford these issues to paralyze us as a people. And we need to realize that even though these are some obstacles that we must overcome, that as a people, we can overcome them by creating a united front, collaborating with each other, and not spending time focusing on what we're against, but what we're for. And when we start focusing on what we're for, then as a force, we're able to continue to move the needle as a people and as a community. You know, I'm a firm believer in the James Brown of affirmative action. You know, James Brown said, just open up the door and I'll get it myself. And so there's opportunities out there for all of us to be able to take advantage of these resources to uplift us as individuals, as a people, and creating generational wealth as well. Lastly, I'll share a little bit about my story and why it's important, because sometimes we allow shame to prevent us from moving forward. And I was one of those people in my young age, in my early 20s, I was in the workforce. And, you know, I was, as they say, in the neighborhood fronting. You know, I had a nice car, had the Louis Vuitton bag, going to the nice restaurants, but was PO without the OR, PO, that's how PO I was. PO, my credit score was 500 and something. But yet I was dressed to the nines and thinking I was doing all that, and the bag of chips wasn't doing anything. And it wasn't until I talked to someone, and we didn't have organizations like RBD, BBA, and Operation Hope back then. This is 1983. And to help provide resources. So I had to first change my mindset, realizing if I hang around 9 broke people, I'll be the 10th. Realizing that I had more month at the end of my money and that I needed to make an adjustment. And so I had to educate myself on how to make a change, how to improve my credit score, how to put myself on a budget, help me to save. And once I humbled myself and realized that there's no shame of making bad decisions in the past, it's all about what you're doing forward, my whole life changed. I bought my first piece of real estate in 1984. Still remember it fondly on Clump Avenue in North Hollywood, off of near Lancashire. And from there, I was able to position myself to be able to buy real estate and create wealth as well. But then life situations occurred. I lost my father, who would have been 100 years old today, born on 11/11. But he didn't protect his assets. He had no life insurance, left my mother with a mortgage and debt in her retirement years. And then I lost my mom 10 years later to cancer. She didn't protect her assets. Now, fortunately for me, because I did practice financial literacy, I had the means to support her, but not many of our people are in that position. So if someone was making $30,000 and raising a family and dealing with that situation would have been tough. But what would have happened if my parents had financial education and practiced it by protecting their assets, saving their money? If my father died with a $500,000 policy, he would have left that to my mom. He would have paid that real estate off and it would have been free and clear. Now it's worth almost $800,000. And then my mom would not have had to struggle. And then my mom passed away. If she had a life insurance policy of a $500,000, I would have been the recipient of a real estate property free and clear, $800,000, and two policies worth $1 million. If I was making $30,000 a year with a net income of minus $500, I would have came up only because if my parents would have practiced financial literacy. So I'm encouraging everyone, all the viewers and listeners out there, that, today's a new day. I'm a proof of that, to where once you decide to make some adjustments in your life and get the knowledge and the information, it can change your life. So again, in closing, it's great to be here with everybody. I miss my LA family. I look forward to seeing everyone when I'm coming back in December. And again, it's all about collaboration. Unfortunately, there's enough poverty to go around. So Operation Hope trying to do it by itself, Recycling Black Dollars trying to do it by itself, the BBA trying to do it by itself, Vermont Sloths, I go on and on and on. We're not going to accelerate the change that is needed to empower our people financially. So it's going to happen through collaborative efforts. All of us working together across this country to make a change and improve the financial situation of our people and future generations. So thank you for having me. And it's great to be here.
That was awesome. Before we get started with the questions, Robin Billups, who's also one of the co-hosts here on the community. Robin is watching right now, so we want to give a big love up for that. And she says, Lance, thank you so much for all that you are doing in the community.
Well, praise to God. I'm just doing where I'm led to do with a lot of help.
Okay, so Greg, you want to kick off questions?
Sure. So let's see. First one here is, what programs does Operation Hope have to build natural intelligence? Because AI is coming in, but we need to build first on natural intelligence when it comes to financial things.
Yeah, we have several partners that we're working with on in that space. It's kind of still a work in progress. I mean, it's part of our global forum that just occurred, I guess, Stephen, was it 3 weeks ago? That was one of the topics of discussion in terms of natural intelligence and AI. So we're in discussions with a couple of companies to create something that we'll be able to take to market very soon. So be on the lookout for that.
Another question, which I think you've handled, which was tell us about the 1MBB program. There was another question. Is that limited to businesses with tangible products and goods?
No.
Okay.
So if you're a Black-owned business, you qualify.
Yeah, because I know that there's a tie-in with Shopify. So they,
not necessarily.
Not huh?
Not necessarily. Without, you're talking about the e-commerce platform. That's correct.
Yeah. Okay, got it. How can our listeners assist Operation Hope with the various programs that you have?
Excellent question. Over the years, we established a volunteer engagement program called Hope Corps. Currently, we have 20,000 volunteers from all over the country who volunteer their time, coming from various professional industries, who are volunteering their time to either help educate our young people. We have a program that we started in 1996 for the youth called Banking on Our Future. And then 10 years ago, we added entrepreneurship to it called Hope Business in the Box. If you're familiar with Shark Tank, it's Shark Tank for kids. So we have volunteers that come in and provide mentorship to kids throughout the United States. As we all know, because of the pandemic, we've been operating virtually. Hopefully soon we'll be in classrooms as well, but they can support that initiative as a volunteer, as a business mentor to youth, as a judge for the pitch competitions for youth. And then in terms of our adult programming, they can participate in various ways as facilitators and instructors tied to our financial empowerment program. So if anyone's interested on that, yeah, definitely reach out to me, or you can go to the website for more information.
Thank you.
Awesome. Lance, home ownership. So as you were going through talking about yourself and your family creating generational wealth, with what's going on with the real estate market today, how do we as Black people even get in that place, in that marketplace now, in order to buy those properties so that we can start creating generational wealth?
Yeah, no, I will say it is tough. I remember when we started Operation Hope, some of you may remember as well, in early 90s, you could buy a piece of property on 91st and Broadway for $80,000. Inglewood, where my wife and I bought our first piece of property in Inglewood on 100, well, in the hood part of Inglewood. Now where Steve and Greg live. We've been trying to get where they are, but in the hood, Imperial Highway, what I'm talking about. But we bought that property in 96 for $130,000. Now it's worth almost 800,000. So yes, I understand that the real estate market in California, as well as many parts of the country, the dynamics have changed. It's not affordable, but then you have to think outside of the box and look at other markets, especially from a income property standpoint. When I made the decision to build our home in Atlanta, that was in 2005, because then we were looking to upgrade in Los Angeles. And at that point, this was before the housing crisis, homes in Ladera Heights was approaching $1 million then. And we just didn't want to pay that kind of mortgage. And so I sought out other markets that I can get more land for my dollars. And so that's one of the reasons why I invested in Atlanta, where you can buy a lot of land and a lot of homes. So I encourage people to think outside the box, look at other markets outside of California, especially if you can't afford the real estate, which I hear is very tough. But there are other markets out there. I mean, I was in Detroit not too long ago, and there are opportunities there. Louisville, Kentucky, the list goes on, where if you just want to get into the real estate game, even as just an income producing property, there are those that are out there. And then you have other municipalities that are helping people to acquire homes with down payment assistance programs to make it easier to qualify as well. Lastly, we're seeing a lot of movement on the home ownership front with a number of our financial partners. A good example of that, just through 3 quarters, we have funded over $120 million in mortgages with the help of our financial partners and with down payment assistance programs in various parts of the country. So it's really, really understanding the market that you want to purchase, whether it's as primary resident or income property, and then seek out the programs that are available to make it happen.
Back to you, Greg.
So we hear a lot about affordable housing, and looking to see what Operation Hope has in the way of programs not necessarily focused on lowering the rents, but improving the affordability by increasing income.
Yes, in terms of a program, Operation Hope does not have a program directly tied to the affordable housing, but we, as an advocate for it, work with local, city, state, and federal agencies to address the issue, because we do know that I think whether we were talking about this before the session or during it, the rents just in California is astronomical. And the affordability of housing is very difficult. So from an advocacy standpoint, we continue to try to work with local, city, state, and federal agencies to address that issue for especially our people in our community, but the citizens as a whole.
Yeah, I meant more towards getting people perhaps away from low hourly wage jobs to going into business for themselves, so they can increase their income. Hence, that apartment becomes more affordable because you're making more money. You're raising the level of your affordability. So that I was driving more towards the programs Operation Hope has to help people, people in a dead end job, and they're not going to get anywhere. So now they just need the tools or the training or the capital, if you will, or the loan or access to loan to be able to go into business.
That's right. So that's where the 1MBB initiative comes in, because we realize that many people are not wanting to work for anybody anymore. They want to be the boss. They want to be an entrepreneur. So the 1MBB program provides the resources and tools across the board to help people position themselves to either start a business, or if they have an existing business, take that business to the next level to create or generate increased revenue so that they can increase their affordability. And then, as I mentioned earlier, with the 700 Credit Score Community Initiative, more from an individual perspective, again, with them able to increase their savings and establish improved credit, then that aligns them with accessing capital to either purchase real estate, income property, or again, start that business. I cannot stress enough the power of the credit score. That has been something that has created an obstacle for our people from accessing that capital. And there are lenders and banks who want to lend the capital, but they understand the risk as well. So the fact that we work with a number of financial institutions that have flexible guidelines, it allows for individuals to qualify for that capital to use it for various purposes.
Exactly. Yeah, that was the key thing that to emphasize, that it's not just about growing an existing business. It's to help people who are looking for a way to get in business, and there's help and training available for that through that 1MBB program.
That's right. And then I just want to touch on, because a lot of times when you have a strong credit score, you're accessing credit, I'll call it for that. We also had to change our mindset when it comes to that as well, because you tend to, when you have a good credit score, someone applies for a credit card with an interest rate and they go into debt. They're purchasing a car, which we know that as soon as you take the car off the lot, it depreciates. And so we're really emphasizing to people that when you're accessing credit, as an example, that you're using that capital for situations and opportunity that's going to generate income for you, versus going into debt or purchasing that luxury item, that nice purse. I won't name no brands, but expensive purses, shoes, suits, this and that are not going to create wealth for us. But when you're accessing that credit or potential capital using someone else's money, using that capital and that credit for things that's going to generate wealth. From a small business standpoint, many businesses will use access to credit or capital to purchase equipment, as an example. Knowing that the use of that equipment, as one example, will generate cash flow for that business. So I'm really on this, on the case about how do we access credit and capital when we qualify and get it. And that's where financial education on the front end comes in, so that when we do get access to those tools or instruments, we're making good decisions. We're not getting deeper in debt. We're leveraging it to generate wealth.
Right, thank you. And for those of you on the program, the link to the 1MBB program is in the chat. It's in the chat feature there.
One of the things I found, especially when we talk about business owners being able to buy their property, a lot of them don't even know that they have that opportunity in the lifetime that they may have been renting a building, a commercial building. They don't have the processing or the understanding or the education maybe on going about that. Like, should they have a plan? I mean, if you're gonna be renting for somewhere for 30 years, somewhere in that 30 years, there had to be an opportunity for you to make a bid on the property.
Yeah, purchase. Yeah.
Yeah, to purchase the property.
No, absolutely. Yeah. And again, for me, it starts with mindset. You know, you first of all, you definitely should always start with a plan. I'm a firm believer. I always operate on 5-year plans in increments, if not 10-year plans. And so starting a plan to know where your business is today, where you want it to go and look like in 5 years, whether it's dealing with your leases or real estate, or whether it's the product that you're selling. And to your point, Crystal, too many businesses, because either they don't have a plan or they just don't know, are in these expensive leases at the mercy of the landlords, and are signing agreements and contracts that lock them in. So I encourage every business owner who has a facility to always be mindful of the contracts, the lease agreements that you go into, but always look for opportunities or have a plan to get out of those leases to own the building, or if not that building you're in, seek out other commercial properties that are available for purchase. And it may mean you have to relocate. Now, the beauty of the one thing that is kind of a shining light because of the pandemic, as unfortunate as it is, and the many people that have lost their lives, and I've lost several good friends to the pandemic, is the fact that the world is virtual now. So you're not limited by, I'm in Los Angeles or Atlanta and I can only do business in my community. Yes, we encourage that you continue to do business in your community, but the world is yours now due to the virtual platforms that are available to sell your products or your goods and services.
Yep. One last thing here, and then Krista will take it. I'm just going to share briefly here your site. I don't know if there was any programs here that we didn't touch upon that you'd like to take this opportunity to share about. We've got credit, home ownership, small business development, employee financial wellness. Anything here that jumps off that you'd like to share?
Well, I will talk about the financial disaster recovery. We know that with climate change, the disaster patterns are increasing. The National Oceanic Administration has predicted that droughts are going to increase in the western part of the United States, i.e. home state, California. And then you have other parts of the country where you have an increase in tornadoes and hurricanes, and then back to the West Coast fires. So the need to be prepared for a disaster is important. So we spend a lot of time working with Homeland Security and FEMA and American Red Cross to make sure that there's financial preparation, education in advance, so that when you are impacted by a disaster, you're in better shape to be able to address it. Again, I mentioned earlier about how 6 out of 10 people in the country don't have $500 saved for any emergency. So what's happening is when a fire occurs or a hurricane, people are living in shelters because they don't have the financial means to stay in a hotel or travel out of the disaster zone. So we're doing a lot of education on the front end, but then on the back end, whether it's a national disaster, natural disaster, or the pandemic, many businesses were closed or needing PPP loans and EDIL loans or grants to help keep their businesses afloat. And then for people who are not able to make their obligations monthly, we have a program that work with their creditors to get their payments deferred anywhere for 3 months, 6 months, or a year until they start getting back on their feet. So yeah, thank you, Greg, for allowing me to mention the financial disaster program, because the disasters, unfortunately, due to climate change are increasing and many people are negatively affected by it.
Fantastic. Any closing words that you'd like to offer as we wrap up?
Well, thank all of you for the opportunity. Recycling Black Dollars, the BBA, it's good seeing you. Thank you, Brother Stephen. As we said, we bumped into each other at the concert in Atlanta, and it was good to see a homeboy from the neighborhood. So I'm just honored to be able to be of service to our community there in LA, and just encourage everyone to move forward. Don't be stuck. There's opportunities out there. There are resources out there. Great organizations like RBD, Operational BBA, and many others that have programs that are here to be of benefit to everybody, whether it's a consumer or a business owner. So thank you.
Thank you, Lance. In fact, I think people thought when you guys left at Los Angeles or California that the Operation Hope was no longer available to them. But of course, the internet brings us all together. So we just want to make sure everyone knows that those programs are nationwide, right?
And we got 10 offices in LA proper. 10.
Oh, okay.
Compton, Southgate, South LA, Commerce. I mean, the list goes on. So we're still present, even though our headquarters is not there. So we're here to be of service, and I still have a home there. So I still call LA home.
All righty. Well, we're glad to have that. Robin's been tuning in on Facebook. She's getting closer to us, guys. So we'll take it however we get it. She says that the story of the legacy businesses in Leimert and other businesses on that quarter kind of started the way you talked about, Lance. So there are business owners over there. She also mentioned that education about real estate is king. Please enroll in the LA County, NHS, to gain the insight needed to make the appropriate decisions. They have down payment assistance and prep your application to present to the lenders, including credit scores, and sometimes they have inventory for sale.
That's right.
So I think one of the things, Lance, you're saying, we have to stop working in silos. So even though we're all organization leaders and working organizations, we as individuals also have to step into this. So when you guys have information, you need to share it with your friends and your family. Don't keep that information to yourself. It's not helping the community. So we want to make sure that we're all in this together. It's not just us that are running an organization. It's every person that has the same skin color that I have. We have to work together as a cohesive grouping of people to want change. And I'm going to say this, if it's not for us, it's for your children and your grandchildren and your great grandkids. Where we are right now, I don't know about you guys, but I would be afraid. If I had kids, I'd be afraid to leave right now and leave them here.
Yeah.
Because we are the anchors that are holding them solid right now. If for whatever reason we disappeared from this space, would you be comfortable leaving your kids here? That's all I got to ask you, because that's why we have to get involved as a people and not just wait for our politicians to do it for us, because you can see how that looks here in LA. We need to do this for ourselves. We don't want anybody else doing it. We have to do this for ourselves. Dr. Frazier says that if we're waiting for the great white hope to come save us, you ought to see by now that ain't happening. That's Dr. George Frazier. That's what he says. Right. Robin says, exceptional job, Lance. Thank you so much.
If Robin says it, then I think I'm doing all right. That's what Robin says. That's my sister there.
Yes, Robin, we're all praying that she gets back here on the planet. She back on this platform. She's been under the weather, so we're praying hard for her. And it sounds
Better.
like she's getting closer to us. Stephen, you want to make some announcements about yourself and where we're going?
Okay, Stephen Turner, I'm the general principal of the Slayton Group. We're a financial service company specializing in risk management, general liability, workers' comp, as well as real estate. Also, I'm a proud member of the Black Business Association. I just want to announce that tying into what Lance Triggs said from Operation Hope, next week we have Ashley Gardner from the California Finance Authority, and she's going to talk about what California is doing to help homeowners, because that's one of the, as Lance Triggs mentioned, one of the key pathways to wealth is real estate. And what is California doing? And her office is going to share what they're doing. Lance, I also like to share with you two people on this line. One is Arnita, who's an artist. Given the footprint that Operation Hope has rather nationwide, how can someone of her business interface with you? And I use her as a test, as well as Kevin Caleb, who's a financial expert in life insurance. If your parents have known about Kevin back then,
That's right.
your life probably been different. But
Different.
Arnita, can I give you the mic and you quickly introduce yourself and your service offering?
Excuse me. Good morning, everyone. Yes, I'm Ardina Brooks. I'm the CEO and founder of Designs by Ardina, and I create memorable and legacy art. And that's for individuals, businesses, entrepreneurs who want to capture and preserve legacy memories by bringing life to their photos. And I do that so that they can continue telling our important stories and pass them on from generation to generation. Thank you, Stephen.
Well, that is easy for me to follow. Hi, I'm Kevin Caleb. I'm the managing member with Sybin Group out of Las Vegas, Nevada. Just back to California since June. Happy to participate with this platform the entire time. And really good to see you here, Lance. Who I am and what I do, I'm the same guy I've always been, in the trenches working with community leaders through organizations to help empower people that are less fortunate. I was a banker teacher for Operation Hope, going into the schools back in '97, I believe it was. Financial literacy and empowerment is my life. I am focused right now on lifestyle and legacies. Most importantly, how do we keep those family properties in the family? I'm talking about estate planning through living trusts and understanding all those complexities and components, and that's what I do.
Fantastic. Thank you, Deborah. We got a few little moments. Deborah Hunter, you want to tell us what you're doing? And Barbara, since we have some time.
Hi, I own a small consulting firm, and we focus on project management and workflow automation, and we're particularly focusing on transit, because we believe that if we had better transit, one, we wouldn't have to be all crowded up on the coast, and we could have more affordable housing by taking up some of that empty space in the middle of the country. And I have been a proponent, especially of late, that Black people need to be checking for each other, because nobody else is looking out for us but us. So if you have the opportunity to procure something from somebody Black or help somebody Black get a better job, we all need to be doing that.
That's so true. So very, very true. Barbara, you want to tell us what you do?
Thank you so much. I currently am working for LA County Office of Education, and I oversee health programs. And I am transitioning into consulting. I have a couple of business development ideas that I'd like to do. And that's why I'm here, to gain additional information so I can make my transition.
Awesome. Thank you. Lawrence has been coming out every week.
Yes, thank you. Very good to be here, and I've enjoyed all of the presentations, especially the Operation Hope presentation. I am, among other things, I'm on the staff of the Small Business Development Center at El Camino College. And I do a lot in supporting economic development of our region, as well as providing consulting services through that fine SBA program.
Thank you very much, Mr. Roger. Is the clubhouse happening this week, or was it last week? Or you got to unmute.
Man cave.
Man cave. Man cave.
There we go. Yeah, the man cave is tomorrow, the 12th of November. It's going to be virtual for the men, and it'll be for the women's conference. It'll be virtual as well as attended live, and it starts at 10 a.m. And we look forward to having everybody come out. We're going to have some great speakers and a great opportunity to get some knowledge and understanding and wisdom. Okay, so thank you. And and then I'm just CEO of the Danger Man Education Foundation, which is a brand that promotes literacy, safety, and good health for children in urban communities and Haiti. Okay, so that's what we do.
I love that you're doing something for the men, that we don't usually have someone. It's usually about the women, right? So I like that you took the initiative to do the man cave. So y'all support the man over there. Right. I like that. Yeah. And Miss B Hall. It's a good thing we have a small little group, but we're actually trending well on Facebook right now. Miss B. Okay, you don't have.
I said we have the time to spend this.
I know, we get to introduce. So I'm going to make two announcements. One, I think I mentioned it last week, and I will continue to mention the RBD resource guide is now available in digital online. It's in the chat as well. We just got approved for the iTunes store for our digital app and for the Google Play. Now, the only way this app works, if you guys put your businesses in there. It makes no difference if we have an app, if you're not supporting the Black businesses that are in there. So we want to make sure you're all in there. It's got some amazing bells and whistles. We are so excited about it. The designer, he just took it right out of my head and put it right in, and even added some of his own little twist to it. So it's not just a directory that static listings. This is a marketing tool that will help us help you market, because for whatever the reason, our businesses like to stay in hiding and they don't like to market their businesses. So we're going to force you to get out there. So we want you to make sure you go to, the links are in the chat, upload, download, go to the online, make sure your businesses are listed there. All businesses are listed for free. There are some upgrades, so you can reach out to us. And RBD is officially launching its membership renewal drive starting this month. Muhammad Nazaruddin's birthday is the 16th, and that was also the month he launched the Recycling Black Dollars. So please continue to support the effort. And finally, before we wrap up, the Los Angeles Black Business Expo is taking place on November 20th. It's a virtual event. We have some amazing speakers, Dr. George C. Frazier from FrazierNet and the Power Networking Group, as well as Dr. Dennis Kimbrough, the author of Think and Grow Rich, The Black Choice. We also have billionaire Mike Roberts. Lance, I'm sure you know him, out of Detroit, that owns up almost all of Detroit. He's going to be coming and talking on a panel that is going to be moderated by our own very own Ted Brass and a number of other individuals. Why is Kevin's head being measured? Other amazing writers, and we have millionaire Byron Nelson coming on. So you guys want to be in the room, because these guys we're talking about creating generational wealth. So the link is in the chat so you can purchase your tickets. We have a youth pavilion. We have young entrepreneurs that are out there that have started their business. They're going to be available, and over 40 speakers and probably close to 25, 30 booths and business owners. So get your ticket, $25 won't break you. Just skip McDonald's dinner for tonight. All righty. Invest in your community. That's all I'm asking. So get your tickets. We are excited about it. A lot of work and effort has been put in it. For those of you that don't know, the Black Business Expo is Miss Barbara Lindsay's dream child, and she's still very much involved. So support Barbara. This is, she was doing this back in, I think, 30 something years ago. She would spend 3 days at the convention center. The goal is for us to get back to the convention center, but she still is working hard on bringing businesses to each other. So thank you guys. Ardina is going to have a booth there. You guys can see her amazing work. And with that, we are at our hour. Thank you so much, Mr. Lance Triggs. We can't wait to see you. Let's connect when you come back. I'd love to be involved, RBD to be involved, however we need to do that. Ms. Robin says, thank you so much. She's glad to be with us, however she's with us. And so we appreciate that. So see you guys next week. And thank you, Barbara. So make sure you are in the guide. A lot of work has gone into that. So we'll see you next week with who, Stephen?
Ashley Gardner from the state of California Housing Authority.
Okay. All right, guys. Have a great week. Be safe. And we will see you next Thursday. Make sure you share and bring a friend next time. Bye-bye, Lance. Thank you.
Bye, Lance.
All right.
Okay, take care.
You too,
All
man.
right. Thank you.
Bless